I was paying $4,000 a month for insurance.
Whoa.
That's $48,000 a year. I have a hospital bill and an ambulance bill from when I got sick in April. So I'm sitting on like another 10 grand of like bills right now where I'm like, so what did I pay? We're moving more towards less people, and we're seeing it like as of today. They're leaving these corporate level jobs either voluntarily or they're being let go. And now they have to do something else. And so you're going to see more people doing like freelance work.
We've just witnessed an outrageous number of layoffs happening, and there's no sign of slowing. It's going to continue, and you're going to have just a glut of involuntary entrepreneurs. Today, my guest is Crystal Jackson, who is better known online as the real Mrs. Poindexter. She's a content creator with millions of followers across all platforms. She's also one half of the husband and wife team behind EssentL Creator, which is a company that she co-founded with Chris, her husband, to solve a problem that they actually lived themselves. How do you get affordable health insurance when you leave corporate? Both are ex-Intel engineers who know firsthand what it's like to navigate the corporate world, as well as what happens when you're forced to leave it behind. In this episode, we're going to talk about Crystal's accidental pivot from engineer to viral content creator, her midlife reinvention, and the wild ride of building a business that now helps freelancers, gig workers, and solopreneurs access real, affordable health insurance. Like, you know, the kind that doesn't cost you $48,000 a year and still leave you with a $10,000 hospital bill. We're also going to get into the reality that with the mass layoffs and the rise of involuntary entrepreneurship, more of us than ever are going solo, whether we wanted to or not. And, if you're going to be solo, you're still going to need to get some health insurance. And now, thanks to Crystal and Chris's company, EssentL Creator, you can do just that. You can get better health insurance as an independent. And they have generously allowed for my listeners to receive 50% off of the first 3 months of the administration fee if you go and use this link, which is EssentLCreator.com/Maureen. Maureen for those who don't know how to spell it. And also EssentL is spelled without the I and the A. So EssentL Creator, Creator.com/Maureen, Maureen. That's where you can go and access that 50% discount. So thanks so much. I'm excited to share this conversation with you. It was a lot of fun and Crystal's awesome. So let's roll.
So let me back up. So I was at Intel for 13 years, left after my third baby because you seriously cannot be an engineer woman and have 3 small kids and work 60 hours a week. I mean, you could, but it's just that work-life balance. And I wanted to, my kids were so small, I wanted to be able to be around them. And because I knew that was the only time they were actually going to really like me and want to be with me.
I know. It's not such a short window. Yeah, you're the literal worst mom.
Yeah. And I remember like when I was pregnant with my third baby, because they're all like 2 years apart, that I was on the test floor just crying, just being like, I just can't do this. I can't work until like midnight being this pregnant and having 2 kids I'm missing out on. So left after the third baby, had to go on Cobra. This goes all into the story that we're going to talk about, like with EssentL,
yes.
which
we
was
will thread that needle,
which was so, it was so maddening because I had never always had corporate level like benefits. And so having to go like onto Cobra, I was like, what? Oh my God, I'm paying all this money. Like, because if you are in the corporate world, right? Like at Intel, they actually pay most of your premiums and you pay like a couple $100 a month and that's it. And I had 3 babies, 3 C-sections, $100 each. Nothing was like easy peasy. Like I paid nothing, you know? And then going on Cobra and I'm trying to figure out like, what's a deductible? What? I never deal with deductibles or co-insurance or like what is all this? And I remember having to call a broker up and you're like, can you explain like what is going on?
I completely agree. I'm like, I'm a relatively smart person and I have no idea what any of this means. Like at all.
It confuses me now. I mean, we can get into that in a second, but
it's deliberately opaque, I think. I think they do it on purpose. They make it like unintelligible, right?
Right. If you go to Cover California, you look at what the whole where your like income level is and what you'd get for subsidies. I'm like, I shouldn't say the graph, is a table. And I'm like, I'm a smart person with an MBA in data analytics. I'm like, I can't even figure this out. What does this mean? And you guys, they have no keys to tell you like what the acronyms are. And I'm like, how do you expect anyone, I mean, not just anybody, to read this graph or this table and realize what's going on? But yeah, they do it just to like
they
confuse
know that we
people.
won't. They know that we
Yeah.
won't, and we won't end up taking as much from them as we should, as to which we are entitled. We won't get it. They're going to win. They prey on us.
Oh yeah.
I swear.
Oh yeah.
They have to.
So yeah, so that was like 13 years ago. I was so frustrated with the insurance. But we ended up going open market, paying a ton of money because at the time we had, I was no longer working at Intel. We had started a couple different businesses. And so we had like 3 different businesses actually running at the same time. And so I took over one, turned it into a woman-owned business, got us 8A certified, which was like we could do sole source contracting with the federal government. Learned a lot about like how do you do all of that fun stuff. And then so ran that business. I was running one business, Chris was running another business. So we kind of like were tag teaming our businesses. And then at one point I was like, healthcare is so expensive. I'm going to go back and get a job at the state of California because I'm like, we need to be paying. I mean, I got tired of paying like all this money for healthcare. And so I went and got a job. It was right before COVID and I was working for the Department of Public Health. And I was running a team of 12 application engineers. So I was a chief application like engineer, like person during COVID, which was a total shit show with the state of California. That's a whole different story.
PTSD,
and we could talk about like what?
Oof, I bet you have some PTSD from that one.
I have PTSD from coming from corporate world into a world of state workers who have never worked in the corporate world before, where in a corporate world, it's like sink or swim, you figure it out. And when you're unionized in a state position, you can't fire anybody and they don't have to really do much. And then you wonder why, like, we have all this deficit.
Right. Very eye-opening experience for you, I'm sure. Oh my gosh.
It was.
But yeah, you were like, I need health insurance, so I'm going back.
So I'm like, I'm going back.
So relatable.
And then, yeah, because I'm like, everyone, like, it's so expensive, right? And I was like, I'm tired of paying open market price. Well, then during that time, I was working at public health. My husband posted a couple pictures of me online and I was like, didn't even really know. I'm like, what? I'm like, whatever. I'm like, who cares? Like in a bikini on some subreddit.
Like, look at
pretty
my
moms
wife. Yeah,
look at my wife,
which
right?
Is sweet.
Proud of my
kind of sweet.
Yeah, it's sweet. And I was like, and then it just kind of blew up. And then I was like, I just became this huge like content creator like overnight. And I was like, what is this? Like, I not actually, you know what was so funny, Maureen, is that about 2-3 years before that, I deleted all my social media for a while, for like 6 months. We did this whole like marriage thing. We're like, yeah, like let's stop being on our phones all the time and let's just like focus on ourselves.
What a concept. Yeah, I think we've all had this conversation with our spouse, right? Like that's the thing we always aspire to. That is hysterical. And then suddenly you're the exact opposite direction.
So
that's wild.
Long story short, I ended up leaving the Department of Public Health mainly because it was like such a mess during COVID. And we don't need to get into the politics of that. But I ended up leaving. And then we basically spun up another company. And then also like we had this creator business going on too. So it was like, and then it was like, okay, now again, we got to go out and buy health insurance.
Right? You're like, wow, here we are yet again. All roads lead back to health insurance. Hey, it's me. Quick break. If you are part of this community and you are in the DC or New York City area, there is going to be something pretty cool happening in each of those cities at the end of this year, early to mid-December. So if you're part of this community and you want a seat at the table, quite literally, we will get your email and we will talk to you about coming with us. So if you want to join, please go to Maureen at itgetslateearly.com, send me that email and tell me why you want to be a part of this. And it's all thanks to a special sponsor. So thank you and hope to see you there, IRL. And so you're doing this thing, you're running your own business, you're doing the creator thing. And when was the moment where you were like, shoot, I got to do something about this problem? And what is the solution you came up with?
So I think I'd been complaining about it I've been complaining about it for the last 13 years. I mean, let's just be honest. Since I loved Intel. And then at a state of California, the insurance wasn't that bad. It was pretty good. People go to work for, they get like pensions and stuff for the rest of their lives, right? So it's the reason people work there. It's job security. And we can go into that some other time too. But anyways, so I think it was I really started really getting like pissed off like 2 years ago. Like, this is insane. I went and did this promotional photo shoot for a company called Carrot. So they do banking for creators. And I was in Times Square, and the co-founder, I was talking to him about, and he's like, well, what do you think we should do? Like, our next, we're trying to venture out and do add other services to our banking. And I'm like, you should offer health insurance or benefits. And he's like, no, he's like, that's just there's too much regulation. And I was like, so I remember sitting on the plane coming back from New York with Chris. I'm like, we're going to do that. We're kind of smart people. We should be able to figure this out.
I love it. So it was this moment where you're like, no one else is doing it. We know it's necessary.
And so we started talking to some people, and they're like, well, the way you have to do is you have to construct this, it's called a PEO, a professional employer organization. And that's the way you have to do it with because there's all these IRS rules, ERISA rules, state and federal regulations. And you can't just sell this corporate policy to individuals. So we had to go through basically we ended up hiring this lady. She's a PEO consultant out of New York, and she is one of my favorite people. And you meet her and she's just like, I'm going to tell you all the reasons why you don't want to be in this business and all the pitfalls and everything. And Krista, and she's like, did I scare you? And we're like, no, we've done businesses before. We've thrown everything on black and be like, well, we hope it works out, because otherwise we're not going to be able to feed our kids.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. So you had every reason thrown at you under the sun why not to do this, and you still were like, hell yeah, let's go.
Well, also because in the last 6 years since I've become a content creator, let me back up. So, because we've met a lot of content creators that did not have any type of business background. And so we created all these MBA level business guides that we would give out to content creators, because they'd come and they'd ask us or ask me, how are you so successful? How do you run your pages? What do you do? And it's you got to think of yourself as a brand, right? You got to think of yourself as, you can't be everything to everybody. Otherwise you're nothing to nobody. So first off, what is your brand identity? Who's your target market? You can't just be well, I don't know. Just really sit there and think about what is that persona that you want to embrace? And it's got to be authentic. So it's got to be a little bit also about, you can't have this, I guess you could have this fake version, but to me, I'm people see through that. And the more real you are with your audience, the more loyal they're going to become. And so to me, I'm you have to just find out and just be true to yourself. So my persona, she's still an engineer. She's still Native American. She's still a hunter. The only thing is I prefer to wear flannels and jeans and not do my hair.
Right.
And
amazing.
So, there is a little bit of more of my persona is a little bit more it's very much more mom next door,
right.
but for the most part, I'm it's still a lot of who I am. You know, maybe there's a little sexy mom next door, but for the most part, it's I'm still the mom next door. I still do all the mom things. What I do every single yes. And I think when you're that way, it's you're not trying to sell something that you can't back up. You can't authenticate. And you know that you can't BS people.
Fake this. No, you really can't. And imagine how exhausting it would be to do that. I can't even conceive of how tiring it would be.
Well, yeah, exactly. And so going back to working with all these different content creators and really listening to what their needs are for the and what they were struggling with. And a lot of it was they were struggling with how do I set up a business? How do I set up a business? What do I do about IP protection? What do I do about health like benefits. What do I do? And a lot of them were dealing with a lot of mental and addiction problems too. And so we saw that. We saw a lot of like, because the internet can be horrible and content creators, and you know this, we're siloed. We're by ourselves a lot of times. And a lot of
so lonely.
Yeah. And so some people can't seem to break off and be like, oh, listen, like I need to take a break. I need to step aside. And some people are just running so hard because they think they have to like have all these brand deals and they have to make all this content and they don't have that work-life balance, that they get caught up with, you know, they have to have like more views and they just don't know how to like break off from that. And so we can get into that. But one of the things that we talk about like mental health, but going back, so just listening to like what people have said over the last couple of years, we're like, okay, it's not just me that has experienced that there's a need for me, that I see that pain point, but I'm like, I see it like across the market. And then one of our advisors on our board, he comes from YouTube and he was a head of all global creators at YouTube. And so when we approached him, we're like, hey, listen, we have this idea. And he's like, oh my God. He's like, YouTubers would come to me asking me, can Google provide like health benefits? And he ran it up the chain and they said no. And
gave it a shot.
You know, it's like, and that's just what?
I said they gave it a shot, I guess.
Yeah, they did. And so that has been like pretty much like what we've seen like with all the different platforms that we've talked to, is that every single, like there's other platforms that we're working with right now that they have had the same thing where their creators, top creators are like, hey, is there any way you guys can like subsidize this or help us like get these benefits, because we have to go to the open market. It's so expensive. So, yeah. So like long story short, we just like, I was like, we are going to do this.
So amazing. You're like,
well,
I have reinvented myself a bunch of times. What's one more, right? Like, and here you see a need that's really pressing. And like, let's be frank, we have just witnessed an outrageous number of layoffs happening, and there's no sign of slowing. It's going to continue, and you're going to have just a glut of involuntary entrepreneurs, people who are going to be out on their own for the first time, whether they like it or not, and they're going to be forced to do something. And they're going to have Cobra if they're lucky enough to have gotten the severance package and can access that. But that's not sustainable, as you yourself experienced, right? So this is, in my view, like a really critically important thing to have on the market right now.
Well, and I also think that when you look at it's that and the fact that the government's shut down currently because they're fighting over like what they should do about subsidies, right? Because all those subsidies that were enacted 5 years ago for COVID are now going away, and they're going back to like what the regular subsidies were. So like in California, for example, if you currently in the last year, if you were making over $143,000, you got some type, or under that, you got some type of subsidy. So some type of tax credit that would help you offset your monthly premium. Now it's going to drop down to about, if you're one person, it's going to drop down to like 68,000, I think. Looking at that table that I have a hard time comprehending. And I look at that and I think, how are we so like such a first world country that we cannot get this healthcare situation figured out? That you have a individual, you're telling me in California that's making like maybe $70,000 a year, and they're going to have to pay full freight for their health and their health premiums, because that is insane. That is just, my heart goes out to them, because I'm like, I know how much we had, like, it struggled for us. I mean, until we started this company, I was paying $4,000 a month for insurance. A month. That's $48,000 a year.
And how was the care that you accessed with that cost of 48? Like, how was the care good?
It was a huge. Oh, yeah. So it was Blue Shield, Bronze, PPO. But we have 5 of us in the family. And what I found out, like when you're on the open market, they charge everybody individually, right? So it's like each kid gets charged a certain amount. Yeah. And then like for us, we do give bulk discounts. And one kid, like a zillion kids, it's all one price, right? Under us, which is weird. Versus like you, I mean, I can go on for days. It is. I am fighting. So until we started this company, it was $4,000 a month. It was a deductible of like $8,000. Just horrible co-insurance. Going to the doctor was like $60 for a copay. I have a hospital bill and an ambulance bill from when I got sick in April. And so I'm sitting on like another 10 grand of like bills right now where I'm like, I'm like, what? So what did I pay? I mean, what was
Yeah,
I
like what are you
paying
paying
for?
for, right? If you can't even get your
Yes.
ambulance ride and your hospital visit covered, like what is this all
I mean, they
for?
paid part of they had paid zero ambulance bill. So I'm fighting Blue Shield right now on that. They paid part of the like hospital bill, but that was it, like half of it. But I'm just like, but still, I'm like, what did I pay? And what I found out doing like starting this company up and realizing like how broken our system was is that when you are on the individual market, like my family, or if you were to take yourself and you guys go on the marketplace and you don't get any subsidies, so you're having to pay full freight for these prices, what happens is the carriers don't know what your risk pool is, what your risk is. So they're going to have to charge you a higher amount because they don't know what they're going to have to end up paying for. So what I love about our company is that it's like we're a huge umbrella, and because they're pulling all these different individuals together, they're figuring out, like, if you're ever seen the Gaussian distribution, if you're in
No, I
technology, you know what
haven't.
I'm talking about.
No,
You
I
know, the
don't.
little like
Just like the curve. For those of you not watching YouTube, we're like doing a big curve in the middle and down.
well, like so like in so in healthcare they also call it like the law of large numbers, right? So the larger people, the more amount of people you have, you can spread the risk out around you spread the risk among people, right? So you can have people that are like maybe higher risk level, and then you have the lower risk, and then you have everybody like kind of in between. So you can basically like just even that out, and that's why like companies like us, it's just like you have a better savings because we're displacing that risk from some of the individuals.
Interesting. Okay, so
Yeah.
and basically, if I have this right, you pull together all of these individuals who are solopreneurs, who are content creators, who are hanging out a shingle to be a consultant for the first time after a layoff, all of that, where we're seeing, I mean, so many people dealing with that right now. And you're taking all of them, putting them together, and giving them essentially corporate level health insurance access at a good, fair price.
Yeah. Yeah. So we are
Awesome.
so for example, yeah, exactly. Right. And so we take
Awesome.
anybody like from one person on up to like teams to like businesses, right? We could take anybody. But my whole thing was like wanting to really hit the people who are like your solo creators, like the one man shops or the one women podcasters, or if you have an editor and a producer that you have on your team too, that we can cover all of that. So what it is like, so we use Cigna PPO as our network. And so it's still a national network. So it's like, well, I had Cigna at Intel, so I love Cigna. Never had any issues with them. And so for example, like our prices went from open market 4,000 to our price 2,100. So
Damn.
that's a huge difference,
That's like
right?
half. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So our co-insurance, our deductible was like 8,000 before. It's $1,000 now. And
Wow.
then to go to the doctor was $60 for a copayment. Now it's $20. So it's like, it's such a huge savings.
That's
Our prescriptions were
insane.
like, I know. And
Wow.
that's what happens, right? Because we're like, basically like the little, like, Chris likes to call us like the little like Disney umbrella. Like, so all the creators can go in and do their own thing. And we just basically are like, we're like your HR division of a big corporation where it's like, we can give out these we can give out these benefit like packages at a corporate price because we're basically, you're coming under our corporate umbrella.
That is so awesome. And especially when you think about, I feel like I read somewhere recently, so I'm going to have to fact check myself. So don't call me out, anyone, if I'm wrong. But I feel like I read something like 80% of people work in small businesses or something like that. Some massive number of people, it's like American owned small businesses. And the fact that they haven't had access to corporate style healthcare is like kind of a problem since our system relies on the employment thing for the whole health insurance
Oh yeah.
situation.
And so I think like with us, so it is. I mean, like there's a good example. We were at Vid Summit a few weeks ago. And so you know what Vid Summit is, right? It's all these YouTubers. Well, for some people who don't know, it used to be run by Mr. Beast. And it's just all a bunch of YouTubers. And yeah, there's some younger kids there. I don't call them younger kids because they're a lot younger than me. and then they're like, if I would take my kids, they'd be like all, they would have been like, oh my God, I know who this person is. I look at them like, I have no idea who that person is.
Right? The internet is a really, really big place, right?
Yes,
there's a spot for everybody. We have to remember
there is. There is. But so we had a Twitch streamer come up to us because she was working with another PEO, which I can't name the name, but they were kicking her off.
Sorry, real quick. Can you define PEO for those of us who are not so good with the acronym? Sorry for cutting you off, but I feel like
yeah. So it is a professional employer organization. So basically what that is that the way you can get these corporate style like benefits is that we're basically an umbrella. And basically it's like, I'm taking your hand and we're just having a handshake going like, hey, you're going to come under my corporation. I can't tell you what to do. All I can do is we're sitting here and I'm just running your payroll. I'm giving you all your HR benefits. If you need help hiring somebody, let somebody off. If you are, employee handbook, because in California, if you have employees, you actually do need to, by law, have an employee handbook. We can do, so MetLife does all of our like vision, dental, pet insurance, life insurance, accident insurance. Yeah. 401ks that we can get. So it's like basically you're working for a corporation, but we have like no control over you. It's just, we're kind of the shell. And that's all I mean. It's just that it's the way the IRS and the government has basically made the law that these things can exist in order to help small businesses succeed.
Okay.
So
helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. But we're the only one that actually can take one man company. So we structured it. Yeah. So we structured it with one of our brokers, a national broker, to make sure that we could actually get it to take these content creators, which was, Maureen, this is another thing too. We can talk about all sorts of things, but banking and insurance is run by old white men. No offense, old white men, but they are. And so like when we went to them, like, hey, listen, we need to insure these like YouTubers. They're like, well, what's the what are YouTubers?
I wish I could have been the internet there. Right. No, it's true. And that's again why it's so important to have diversity of all kinds on your teams, including age diversity, right? Because it seems to be more of a younger person's game. To your point earlier, though, there are a lot of us old people, quote unquote, in the mix too. But you have to have it go up to the top of an organization. Otherwise, they're going to be missing the entire point in a massive market opportunity, which they very much were.
Oh, yeah. And they were. And and then going back to like us, people our age, the majority of people on the internet that make the most money are people our age on the internet. It's not you think of the 20-year-olds because they do have these like spicy brand deals. And like the first time I was at Vid Summit, we saw this 20-year-old roll up like in this Phantom, like, I don't know, Rolls Royce. I don't know, some type of fancy car that I don't understand because I'm a truck girl. And I was just like, but it was like a $500,000 car, right? With LED lights inside. And I was like, all this money is like going through through the internet. And I was like, if you're that young, you should really have somebody backing you and telling you like financial advice, like how to take this money, how to put it in a 401k, because your moment could be over with like tomorrow. And like,
yes,
right.
And that's the truth. We all need to be saving for a rainy day because man, those days are coming for a lot of us. Right. And especially if you get into midlife, you are much more likely to be on that layoff list, whether due to ageism or to wanting to get those books clear of higher salaries, right? So it's something you have to prepare for. It's really important. But yeah, it should start young. You're right. Like these people need to be taught. I wish I could go back in time and tell myself some different things about how to do my finances. I'll say that too. But it's really, it's critical. And I think what I love about what you guys offer is that you did carve out that solopreneur aspect, because you could be, if I have this correctly, you could be like literally an Uber driver, or maybe you just got laid off at Amazon and you're like, shoot, I need to hang that shingle and be a consultant. I don't know what I'm doing yet, but like I need access to healthcare, and you can sign up with EssentL Creator.
Yes.
So you don't have to be a creator.
No, you don't. No, you don't have to be a creator at all. We can take my future vision is there's this whole philosophy called the future of work, right? Where it's like we're moving more towards less people. I mean, and we're seeing it like as of today, right? You talked about Amazon. I was telling you before this, Paramount, actually studios came out saying they're laying off like a bunch of people too. I mean, I should say bunch. It's like thousands of people they're actually laying off. Warner Brothers Discovery, they're trying to sell right now or break the company up, separate it. So it's like you're having all this massive intake of people that are they're going to hit like unemployment. They're going to have to figure out like what they are doing. And so they have this whole concept called the future of work, where people are actually leaving. They're leaving these corporate level jobs either voluntarily or they're being let go. And now they have to do something else. And so you're going to see more people doing like freelance work, whether it could be, construction, whatever it is, or it's the internet, or, I mean, anybody who is on the internet, you are technically like a content creator.
Yeah.
You like have an Instagram page. I mean, I
true.
don't know what your definition of content creators are, but I'm like, yes, if people are liking your stuff, even if it's your family,
Yeah. If it's your mom, so what? You're still a content creator. That's really true. And we've been content creators, whether we knew it or not, since the days of like MySpace and Facebook, like as soon as it was unveiled. And thank God I didn't get Facebook until I was basically in my last year of college and it wasn't what it is today. Because, imagine the embarrassing things that would exist on the internet of me. But it's like oh gosh. And I think it's also interesting because, well, first of all, there's so much misunderstanding around the concept of the creator economy. Like, I mean, it's laughable how so many people have no idea what it really is and how massive a part of our economy it is now and will continue to be, and how critically important it is, especially as we're entering this era, like you said, of the future of work, where it's going to be a lot more freelance and a lot less 9-to-5 corporate grind. Like, that's just where we're going. You can see it. It's a gigification, the sort of Uberification of the white collar workforce. It is happening right now as we speak. And I think it's a tough thing to wake up and realize, especially if you've been taught your whole life. You go to college, even if you're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt for that, you are then going to get a job. You're then going to have this corporate career. You're going to climb that corporate ladder and everything's going to work out. Well, the bottom's fallen out from that story. Like millennials, Gen X, beyond, and of course Gen Z too. They're feeling it hard. It's really awful for them too. But like, we aren't getting what we were told we would get. Like, this sucks. And I think the sooner people wake up and recognize that they might not like it, it might be an inconvenient truth. And I believe it very much so is that for most people, they need to take some sort of action. And so I feel like if you have the agency to do even a small thing, whether it's like getting your LLC established or sending your first pitch or signing up for EssentL Creator, like whatever that is, like it'll make you feel like you're making forward progress, But we gotta get into this.
And I would want to say to them like, yeah, or I want to say to them like, hey, I know it's scary and we've all been there, like facing layoffs. Like at Intel, it's like we were constantly, I was kind of protected because I was a woman in engineering. So we didn't have a lot of women in engineering. So it's like when I left, funny story, I actually asked them for a severance package. I was like,
nice.
You guys
like, I'm leaving.
You laid me off.
Hook it up. Yeah. Brilliant move, by the way. Super brilliant. Way better than quitting where you get nothing, right? That's solid.
Well, because they were always like, they were laying people off marketing and sales. I was like, come on, man. I'm like, because I was like,
here,
I'm out
coach.
And they were just like, nope, we're not like giving packages to people in engineering. I was like, God, yeah, okay, maybe I can transfer over.
Put me in marketing. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. And
if
you're a woman, you are 67% more likely to be laid off. Women are 67% more likely to be the victims of layoffs. That's the stat that I saw last year. And I believe it.
Oh, yeah, I believe it too. Because I feel like in engineering at the time, we're talking like 13 years ago, there was a major push to put more women in management roles in engineering. But then as soon as I left, of course, and then they started laying off, people in engineering and of course, like women. The only woman manager I had, she was let go. One of my best friends that helped me get my job years ago, she was like let go, and she's over at AMD now, and she's thriving over there. But it was just, yeah, it was horrible. It was just, it's horrible to see. Well, actually, everybody I worked with at it Intel is gone now, except for one person.
Oh,
One person still.
yeah.
She's the only
To our
one that
point.
survived, and she's in finance, and that's it. But she's always like, I see her at the gym, and we constantly, I'm like, you still have your job? You have it? Like, what's going on? She's like, I don't know. She's like, she's like, it's every couple like months. We're just like, all right, who's on the, like,
Yeah.
who's going to get laid off now? It's constantly,
the
I'm like,
Hunger
I would
Games.
not want that pressure. What?
It's the Hunger Games,
Yeah.
I feel like, in corporate right now. It's just
Oh,
brutal.
yeah. Well, especially Intel too, because I mean, that's a whole different story. But
that sure is. Yeah.
but I would tell people, like, listen, it's so, like, not having a job is super scary, but it could be the best thing ever. And you're never, ever, once you figure out like what you're going to do, and you might fail, and you're going to have to like reinvent yourself, and you'll have to pivot. But it's like, you will learn so much from being your own boss and doing your own thing, things that you think that about corporate world gives you, like, I think gives you a good base, right, of like how to structure some things, but it's like, it does not teach you how to be a solo entrepreneur at all. You will have to figure that out. But it's scary, but it's fun. It's like, it's so much fun to get up every morning and be like, what you create is yours, and no one can take that away from you. And on top of that, it's like, you get to keep all your money. You don't all that money, all the effort you put into it, you get.
Yep. I love all of that. I think it's super gratifying. And I've never worked harder than I have for myself, for sure. I will say, like, it's hard being a solopreneur, for sure. Sometimes I'm like, dude, working for myself is both the dream and a nightmare, because it's all on me. Like, I have to make everything happen, but I've learned so much. And like you said, like, yeah, have I totally taken it on the nose and like fallen flat on my face a couple of times? 100%. But you learn over time that you will get back up, and that it is not catastrophic, and that more likely than not, no one else saw you fail. And it doesn't really matter, because they're too busy worrying about themselves. That's the spotlight effect. We think people are thinking about us, but frankly, they're not. So you can either be really bummed out by that or super liberated by it. And I choose the latter.
Oh, me too. Me too. I think it's one of the best things ever. When I look and I think, having to go back and be like 8 to 5, or like have a corporate job, I'm like, there's just no way. I'd have to, like, I would figure out something else to do, because I could not sit there and be like, someone else is going to tell me what to do now.
Yeah. It's pretty hard
I'm
to go
working
back.
so hard. Yeah. Or I figured, it's like, I realized like years ago, like when I worked at Intel, I remember someone told me this, because we had an employee die in the bathroom, like from stress at one point, like back in the early 2000s. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it was stress or heart attack or what, but I just remember thinking, man, like, and everyone like in engineering was always like, like the world only exists because of engineers. And if it wasn't for engineers, and I'm thinking, hold up, when you die or I die, Intel's not going to give a rat's ass about like what we did for them. The only people that are going to care are going to be our families. I'm like, so why am I putting all this effort in all like 60, 70 hours in making money for them, when it's like, they're going to replace me tomorrow, which is exactly what they did. Right. Exactly. And that's what corporate world does.
Yep. And that story is so resonant. It actually mirrors one that my friend told me recently about how there was a person who died on the team in a tragic accident, and the team was alerted by an email from the boss, and then everybody just carried on business as usual, like creating shareholder value. And it's like, wait, hold up. A man lost his life who we worked with daily, and you can't even give us the afternoon off? So I think we all need to keep that in mind when we're going to work, and like, go to the freaking doctor, man. Like, I interviewed a past CMO of mine who was fired in his 50s. His name's Daniel Intendella. Fantastic guy. By the way, I thought you'd have it made if you hit the C-suite. And he's like, I'm a white dude too. Like, I thought I was good, right? But he got to the C-suite, he got fired. And actually, getting fired saved his life, because he was the kind of guy who'd always push off his doctor's appointments. He went to the doctor. They're like, you have prostate cancer. and he caught it super early. And had he not been let go, he probably would have like stage 4 cancer by now. So this is literally the cost of not paying attention to your own health. And these companies, they don't deserve that. They do not deserve that. We are so much more important than that. So that's a story that like I always bring up, because it's just that's if you don't have that, nothing else matters. And the cost of healthcare in this country is staggering. And what's happening right now, because I keep on seeing these headlines, they're scaring the shit out of me about what's going to happen with healthcare coming up.
So I know like right now, so they're fighting over subsidies, right? So like I talked about a little bit earlier, is that the government has always had some type of subsidies with once they signed Obamacare over. And basically, so prior to Obamacare, because I had to go through this when I had to get insurance on the open market. I like they would then like pull your medical records and they would look at you individual basis, and then they could tell you, then they would actually rate you, and they could charge up or down depending on like how healthy you were. And so because I had like a bacteria infection when I had a baby, they actually classified me as having a pre-existing condition. And so I had to pay like 20% higher than my husband, who has high blood pressure. And I'm like, but it's a bacteria infection that you guys gave me an antibiotic for. That it was, but they do this because they want to be able to make more money, right? That's what my belief is. So Obamacare, I think is, I mean, I'm not the expert when it comes to all of this, but what it did do for people who had pre-existing conditions, like, so if you're diabetic or you have cancer or whatever you have, the insurance companies could not look at your medical records and then deny you. And then they couldn't charge you a higher amount. So what that does, though, it makes, because they don't know who they're taking in. So that's why your premiums are so much more higher, because they're assuming that everybody's going to be a little bit more risky and they're going to have to pay a little bit more. So, but because you're paying more money, the government had to come in and subsidize some of that because they knew people couldn't afford that. So then COVID comes, they gave even an increase in subsidies or tax credits. Now the government wants to take that away. That's what the one big beautiful bill does. Like, it takes all those like COVID tax credits away, and now you're down to the regular subsidies we had when Obamacare first came along. And so now it's scary because health premiums go up every year, regardless of where you're at, because there's inflation, whatnot. So they're going to go up, and they usually go up. I don't even know the average. I think the average is like maybe 10%. Well, in California, they're saying like up to 30%. Your premiums your premium could go up. And I was talking to my lash lady today. Don't make fun of me, but her premiums are doubling. Oh, thank you. Her premiums are doubling. So she's having, like, she was telling me today, it's going to double for her. And she's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm like, well, come over to me.
Yeah. You're like, I have a solution. Yeah, no, it's terrifying. The headlines that I have read have said things like 30% to 50% to like even beyond that. And, it's hard I don't really know which one's right and which headline is clickbait and all of that, but it's changing, and there's a shift, and there's open enrollment, right, coming up that is important for people to hop on, right?
So open enrollment, there's a few things. Like, for us, we take people whenever. Like,
that's awesome.
It's like changing your job, right? So it's like there's no open enrollment for us. Like, you just come in and then we can like give you benefits. So you're not locked into like, it's open enrollment for us like year round, or open all year round. But open enrollment is if you have a job like I don't know, we'll say Intel or Disney or Amazon's a good example, that they're going to like allow you to change your policy only from like, I think it's November 1st to the end of the year. And then you're locked in for another year. If you're on the open market, same thing. You can only change your policy, like change it from like a Blue Shield maybe to a Kaiser, or you can take it from like a bronze to a silver or a platinum, whatever, and you can go up or down. And then then it gets locked in. But you can at any point be like, oh, I'm going to change jobs and go over here. And whenever you change a job, you actually can get coverage, like new coverage. Does that explain open enrollment? So open enrollment basically,
it's like a life-changing event, like a marriage or divorce or a birth of a child, right? Like, that's when you would have the ability to change your healthcare plan outside of open enrollment, correct?
Yes, outside of
Okay.
yep.
Yay.
But with us, like you come on to us, like our open enrollment, and basically you come on to us, it's like, well, you can come on in January, March. I mean, there's really no open enrollment. It's like you just come on. It's like changing a job. You come on, and then we're like, here's your benefits.
That's awesome.
So I think it's also going back to the increase. So I think it's just what the news is trying to do. I mean, that does like to scare people, but there is going to be an increase in premiums. But I think what is really scary is that if all your tax credits go away, so now you're going to see an increase like overall in all your benefits, like your tax credit went away. And then, so that was like a huge chunk of what you're paying. And then on top of the increase in premiums is going up. So then it could go up like a couple 100%, which for people, I'm like we were talking about before the start, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I would probably have to go. I mean, I would seriously think about job somewhere, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
For health insurance, right? Because I mean, you can't
hear that a lot.
Not have it.
Yeah. I hear that a lot. I mean, I've talked to people who have no interest whatsoever in continuing to be a part of the corporate machine and would rather do things on their own and are continually looking for corporate employment for solely the purpose of becoming insured because it's such an issue. So thankfully, it's nice to know there's a solution for it.
We're the solution. Hey,
you're the solution. Woo!
Well, and there's also a lot of
so important. Yeah.
Oh, it is. And there's a lot of content creators too that are out there that are part-time creators too. And they really want to take that leap and then they want to do something different. But they can't leave their corporate jobs because of all these benefits, right? So like, again, it's like, we're just, I mean, we're talking a lot about health benefits because of open enrollment, but but I mean, it's like, but we have everything, right? Like we have everything like you would at your other corporate job.
Yeah, talk about that. I want to hear about the other benefits that people can access through EssentL. Like, it's a lot. So I was on your site. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. So going back when we're talking about like, when we first had this idea about like, what I thought creators actually needed. And because we saw them, they're having to deal with a lot of like, addiction problems and mental health problems. When we went to the carriers, we're like, hey, listen, I know you guys don't think of the internet economy as being like a huge economy, but it is. But you've got to like also take into account that we need enhanced like mental health and addiction health policies on here, because I'm like, you have these creators that are just by themselves and it can be very lonely. And we have seen some of the darkest like stories come out. And we've known people that have had a very tragic ending. So it's like, can you really increase like the mental health and addiction health? And they're like, yeah, sure. Because we know like population wise, you're probably going to be like on the lower end of a risk. So they did that for us. So we have that. We have, like I said, we do payroll. Cigna does our health carrier. MetLife does vision, dental, life insurance. So we give a basic life insurance policy out to everybody, and then you can add on as much, whatever you want to do. And then just like if you worked at a corporate job, workman's comp, because you never know what could happen.
No, you just never know, right? Like a microphone could fall on your head or something. You'd never know.
Yeah. I mean, these are all like whatever you want to do, right? Because it's like you could pick and choose. Like maybe we do pet insurance. We also have accident insurance, which I actually was like, accident insurance, is that actually a thing? And I looked into it. I'm like, I'm going to Mexico like in January. And I'm like, I'm getting myself some accident insurance. It actually is a really good policy. And I'm like, and it's cheap. Wow. It's like $6 a month for your family. Amazing. And I'm like, that's cheap. Yeah.
I mean, as a very accident prone person myself, that is appealing. Yeah. I'm quite clumsy. That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
So you guys we have like all these things. Damn.
Oh yeah. And then also because like we run the payroll, like we keep you in tax compliant, right? So you're not going to like,
nice.
IRS isn't going to come after you for like payroll tax, not paying your payroll taxes, because that's the thing. No YouTubers have actually gotten their accounts frozen from YouTube because of the fact that they're not paying their taxes. And so they're like, oh, we're going to take your AdSense money because you have failed to pay your payroll taxes.
Yikes. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think so many of the people who are creators, I mean, it's in the name, like you're creative, right? And I mean, I'll speak for myself as a creative type. Like, I don't know the first thing about payroll. Like, you do not want me in an Excel spreadsheet. Like, that is not my highest and best use. And getting something like EssentL enables you to focus on what you're good at, your zone of genius, if we want to use that sort of corporate message. But it's, I think, liberating because it's so exhausting to get sucked into the administrative stuff when you really want to be doing what you do best. So I like that aspect of it too.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, and if you were to hire somebody and you want to like grow your team or you come on with a team, we do have a whole suite of like HR benefits, right? We have people that you can talk to like on the phone and be like, hey, how do I bring this person on? Or I'm having problems with this employee. What do I do? Because that's something you would want to like walk through and talk about, because I mean, HR law is just like insane anyways to begin with. And that's a whole different, I don't even know. I have a person who's, we have like our head of HR. Yeah. Our HR person, our head of HR, she's been doing it for like 20 something years. So I'm like, oh, she can handle this.
Yeah. Let's push that onto her plate. Oh my gosh.
Oh, she has a team of people behind her too, but yeah.
Amazing.
So we have, there's something else I was going to mention. I know I'm missing out on, what is it? Shoot, something else that you just brought up. Keep talking. It's gonna
okay. So what did I just say? So about giving people more time back to do the things they're good at. Was it on that? No.
See, this is what happens.
Is this like
coffee today?
Menopause? Like I think I'm very firmly in perimenopause, but I also recognize that like I think everything is a perimenopause symptom now. So I'm like, what's what? But yeah, the brain fog for me and like losing words, that is happening to me all the time personally. So that's fun.
I know, that's why Chat GPT is awesome. I'm like, I'm trying to think of this word that does this.
Right. It sounds like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Well, maybe it'll come back to you. But that's amazing.
Yeah, I was going to talk about, oh, no, I know I was going to tell you. So, because this is like one of my favorite things about like what we do too, is that we have a concierge service. So it's a medical concierge. Like, so if for some reason you're like, oh, I got this bill and I think it's like I should be paying less for it, you can call them up and they will handle talking to your doctor. They will talk to the carrier and they will figure it out and you don't have to do a thing. Because like right now, like amazing. I'm saying, I'm having to fight Blue Shield over this ambulance bill from the beginning of the year before I had this coverage through EssentL. And now I'm like, and it stresses me out. I get so stressed out because I know I'm going to turn into the world's biggest bitch when I get on the phone. Like, why are you not paying us?
Right? You got to get it done. Otherwise, they're just going to take advantage. So good. You're not being exploited. But now you can like offload that to someone else whose job it is to do that. And then you can get back to doing the stuff that you know, like, and love to do and are best at, right?
Yes.
So that's
because nobody wants to call and talk to like a doctor's office, or like we had one of our other clients, like he's like, well, I know it's like they gave if you have a liquid form of this medicine versus a pill form, there's different prices. And the concierge service will be like, hey, listen, we will find the most reasonable price for you. Let's do our research and find out and then we'll call your doctor and tell the doctor like, hey, it's actually a better option to do the liquid form than the pill or vice versa, or things like that, right? Or you just have an advocate that's there for you, which to me, I'm like, incredible. In this day and age, like that's exactly, what I mean, I want. And then also, honestly, it's like and I tell people this all the time when I was doing another podcast interview, and I was like, if for some reason it's like you're not sure, like, is this like the right plan for me, or is this something I want to actually do? We have like brokers that will like walk you through like, okay, tell us like what you want to do now. Maybe honestly, maybe if they have some subsidies, maybe the open market is a better policy for you. And it's better than like what we can offer you. And to me, I'm like, go, as much as we'd love to have you as a customer, go do what's best for you. Because to me, I'm like, you got to do what's best for your family and what's best for the individual. As long as you're just getting the coverage that you need. So
that's awesome.
So we have all of that. And it's
huge.
Like, I mean, I just want people to have access to good, affordable high quality coverage.
What a
That's what
concept.
I want.
I want that too.
Right?
And I think that's what we all want. And it's frankly what we all deserve. So it's been frustrating to watch that slip out of most people's grasp. And so I'm very, very pumped and heartened that you guys are doing what you do. We are going to see, like I said earlier, like so many involuntary entrepreneurs who are coming out of this. I mean, is it a recession? Is it a depression? Is it what's going on? Who knows? Remains to be seen, but it ain't good is what I can tell you. And it's gonna force a lot of this. And so I think it's great. We want to get the word out. There is help in this regard, and setting up shop, so to speak, as a solo business owner is easier than you think if you access certain tools like EssentL. So I think that's nice because it can feel so overwhelming. Like, oh my gosh, all the things, right?
Well, it is. And Maureen, like, it's like if you, so we do require people to be like, oh, corporation, LLC or S Corp. But if you come and you're like, hey, I don't even know, how do I do that? I'm like, we have services that like we partner with different people, like, and they can give it to, you can set up an LLC pretty easily and pretty like inexpensively and in different states. It all depends on, and then we have people that can tell you like, this is what you need to do and how you would do it. If you want to go that route, like legal wise, or if you want a CPA, or if you want to just go, there's a company called Doula, online, DOOLA, and like it's like boop, boop, boop. And it's like, boop, here's your LLC.
Well, and I think when people get laid off, like there's a moment where you got to just take it in. You got to, let it wash over you, maybe go through like the stages of grief, get really angry, all of that. And then when you're finally ready to make any sort of move, it's like, I think what I've gathered, or I could be wrong, but like the first step to doing any sort of like consulting or freelancing is to set yourself up as an independent contractor in some regard, whether that's, and I'm not an expert on this by any shot, but like LLC or S Corp or whatever, because you have to have some sort of business entity. It can't be like your personal thing. So it seems like this is kind of like table stakes for most people who are trying the solopreneur route. Is that correct?
Oh yeah. And I look at that and even I tell people like, yeah, you're right. Like if you do get laid off and you want to do something, you should set up some type of LLC or S Corp. Especially with creators, I think it's so important that you have that it's from like, just from a branding aspect, right? And this can go back into like the partners that we have like on our page too, or through our corporation. But I'm very passionate about like, you should be protecting your IP as a content creator. So your intellectual property, you should have things trademarked. You should be like copywriting some of your material because people can take it, splice it, take it out there. You're giving away like that IP, which is like, so that's who you are. That's what your brand is made out of. There's people that we work with that, or there's attorneys that we work with that, like, if you're going to get a brand deal or you're going to get like a book deal, there's attorneys that will go through and like help you like redline like these contracts, because a lot of these content creators are just like, oh my God, I see it's a pie in the sky. Like, oh, I have like, they're going to give me $100,000 to do this like brand deal, but they're not looking at like, they're signing away like all their rights on that too. And then they don't know that like, oh wait, hold on. You just signed away all of that, like that content that like they're going to be able to use it like in perpetuity, like for like, do you understand like what you just did? It's like, you need to like structure those brand deals where it's like you, and also the payment structure, like your net payment on that, making sure that there's some type of clause that you can get out of it. I mean, there's attorneys out there that can help, and they're actually not that expensive. And we work with a lot of those attorneys that can give some of that. Some of it's like just free advice that they actually offer to the content creators. Like we have an attorney that we work with. She's really good. And her whole thing is basically making sure these contracts are pretty like solid. And we have like red line guides that you just put things in. And it will like help you determine like, oh no, that's not a good deal, because they're seeing these content creators just get taken advantage of, right? Or they don't get paid either. And it's like, that's really disheartening. And so there's things like that. There's, but also going back to like your LLC, S Corp, it's like this from like a tax shelter, like you want that around you, and then a liability wise, and then you want that liability so you don't, like, if something happens, they can't come after your own personal
Yeah, with your
assets.
house.
And
They're
people
coming
don't
after your house.
understand that, right?
Yeah, it's true. People don't. I mean, a lot of us have been working for the man forever, right? And we didn't necessarily see ourselves going out on our own. And so this is an entirely new universe to us. So it's important information to get out into the world so that people don't find themselves in hot water. Because, dude, it's hard enough just being a human in 2025, and facing all the issues that we do on a daily basis as people of a certain age, right? And it's really critical that we take the layups that we can get, right? And like help ourselves out. But yeah, it's a scary, scary world.
My advice would be go out and buy a bottle of champagne.
I agree.
And have a good, or go out and have a couple drinks and feel all those feelings that you've had, because they're all relevant and it's hard. I think it's a hard loss, and it's going to take a while it took me like a long time to like calm down after leaving like a corporate job, because for the longest time I was like always on like 110, 120% going, and always like that fear of like, what am I missing out on? Oh, did I answer that email? And what's going on? Right? Like
you can hear
why
like
am
the
I
Slack
not like
Teams message playing in your head? Like it's
Oh yeah. Or when I go on vacation, I worked in corporate, worked at Intel. I could never really relax for like the first like few days, because I was always like, well, I'm missing something. I got to do something. I have to have a constant level of stress. And I feel like when you're in that corporate world, you're constantly having this huge amount of stress, and to kind of learn how to like de-stress yourself from that, it's really hard. And it's like, you're going to have to like learn how to like let some of that go. But then you're going to have to learn how to like, it's scary. It is scary to go out on your own, but it's okay. It's like, there's a ton of resources and we're all here to help you. And I'm sure there's a ton of different podcasts or YouTube videos that can help you like with that too. But it's scary, but it is the most satisfying thing ever to like be out on your own. I mean, but I remember like when I left Intel, I remember being scared. I'm just thinking like, what did I just do? And my family, because my family was, my parents were like full on state workers, always had like a pension, and they told me like, don't even go to college, just get a couple classes under your belt, go work for the state, because then you're set for life. You have these pensions and you're like benefits for life. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't. Yeah, they're not wrong.
Like,
they're not wrong.
Prescient for today's times, but yes, continue. That's amazing.
I know. Even today, my mom's like, open market policies. What are those? She's like, I just, I'm fine. And I'm like, yeah, of course you are, because you're still like, but those days of pensions are going away though too, right? I mean, that's not going to be, they're not going to be there forever either. So I think it's just the change of just the economy is evolving, and then what the people are living longer too. And that was never the case. Like, 50 years ago when people had pensions, now they live longer. And so they just realized of Social Security benefits. I mean, that's a whole different thing. I'm not even versed enough to even talk about that, but I just know it's like, that's something that is a possibility of going away too at some point. So it's like, how do you take care of yourself? And to me, I'm like, it's a scary experience, but it's a great experience to realize you can be your own boss, and you can set whatever path that you want out there. And don't let anybody like talk you out of it, because people are going to tell you, don't do that, go get another corporate job. But that's because they don't want to see you succeed either. People don't want to see other people succeed. They'd rather just sit there and be like, oh, look, poor him, poor her. She's got like fired, laid off. Oh, it's horrible. And it's like, oh God, thank God that's not me, or what did they do? And it's like, maybe they did nothing. It's just the way it is. But if you start doing something that you love and you're passionate about, you're going to be successful. And the money might not come right away, but it's okay. It's like, you're going to be so much more happier, like getting out of bed in the morning and being like,
it's
doing
true.
what you love. And yeah. And you're going to learn how to pivot. You're going to learn that, I thought, when we first started this, we thought like, this is what we thought the business would be. But then we learned, oh, nope, we got to pivot over here, because this is how it is. This is how it actually has to be. But then we're constantly still pivoting. Like, and I learned that a long time ago, back to when I went to MBA school. Funny story. I went back to MBA school during COVID, because I was like, I need something else to do, because I'm a person that needs I need to have like I need to
Stuff
have like 10
happens.
plates juggling. Yes,
Yeah.
I need to be juggling like a million things. Otherwise, I feel like I'm not doing enough. And so I remember being in MBA school and I took this class on entrepreneurship, and I was like, okay, this should be interesting, with a bunch of kids that have only worked in corporate jobs and who've never actually had like gone out and done their own jobs before or started their own businesses. And what they teach you in MBA school is nothing about how to run a business. You learn nothing, right? Oh, a business plan. Throw your business plan out the window because it's not going to matter. Because once you hit the ground running,
plan, right? Like it's like you're
yeah,
not
right.
gonna have
It
the
is
baby you
exactly
expect. Yeah, not gonna happen that way. It's totally true.
right. Because what you realize right away is that like it's like what you think your customers want is going to be different what they actually need, but you'll learn and then you'll start like evolving and you'll get better at it. And then you're going to fail and you're going to get back up and you're going to be stronger. You're going to be so much more knowledgeable about like just the economy and just the business that you're going after. If you're doing it yourself, then anybody can tell you about it. And then you're people who are back at corporate world, like getting their 9-to-5 job or 9-to-5 paychecks and, sitting there just living in cubicle hell.
Yeah. And,
which I would not want to do.
Increasingly, I wouldn't either. And increasingly, it feels like people who are doing that, just kind of keeping the heads down, are sitting ducks because the world is changing. And hey, listen, I wish I could go and work for one company that I loved and, be loyal to that company and have them be loyal to me in return, which by the way is not a thing. And then have them like give me a gold watch at the end with a lot of money. Like that sounds sick. Like sign me up for that. Oh, wait, it doesn't exist anymore. So it's just one of those harsh truths. And the sooner people just kind of accept that somewhat shitty reality, frankly, the better. Because this is just what we got. This is what we got to do. And, I think interestingly, tying this back around to content creation, like at this point, I feel as though almost anybody doing any sort of business, by virtue of having a business, must also thereby be a content creator, at least in the form of marketing, right? You have to have marketing and sales material. That's content. I mean, content's an overused term, but you know what I mean? Like, I think if you are going out on your own, how are people going to know about you? And referrals are awesome,
I think would be
but,
so if you are on the verge, you think you're going to get like laid off, I would put that camera in front of you and start talking about how you feel.
Yeah.
And start documenting all of that. And it would be a slam dunk. People would love to hear that. Like, and it would resonate with so many people. Like, I got my like notice today in this, and then
look at TikTok.
I mean, if you could be that, I mean, and it could be like a little like 30 seconds of being like, I'm just like super like bummed out, I mean, and then just like, okay, I think I'm going to do this today, or I think I'm going to, and just, there is, I mean, just, I mean, you start documenting. In fact, when we started this company, we started documenting like, so my husband and I started documenting each other, like arguing about like who was going to take on what role in this company. Because I'm like, actually, that would be actually a really good YouTube like series someday about like how do you start up a corporation? Like how do you start from day one these ideas, and then you get it. I mean, and then constantly it's like, there's days where it's like, I mean, there's times I still wake up at 3:00 in the morning being like, oh my God, I'm stressed out about this company. But I think that's just, I'd rather be stressed out about like my company than 100%. Be stressed out about a PowerPoint presentation I'm doing for somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree. And I think that content series of how you work with your husband and make these decisions is a great one, because it's also going to be a blueprint for like how not to end up on Dateline if you're working with your spouse. Like that is important, because trust me when I say like not every couple could withstand the pressures of working together. But you guys have done it multiple times. I think it's really, really cool. So maybe that's another great little series for you.
Well, and I think a lot of it's because we've, this is like our 4th business that we've done. Mm-hmm. And honestly, it's like, we just know like our weaknesses and strengths, and we play off each other on that sense. So I know it's like, he's better at being a pitch man out there. And I mean, I'm like, you can go talk to the VCs and do that, because I don't want that stress from them coming at me. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And he's a dude, so he'll have a better shot there anyway, because they'll be like, oh, that's a cute idea. So bad. So VC.
oh my God, we could go on a date. Oh my God. VCs do not like to give women-owned businesses money. And so
No,
when it
they
came
really
down
don't.
to like, how are we going to pitch this? I knew it's like we'd have a better chance if he took the lead on doing that, because they're going to be like, no. In fact, we had a VC last week saying, this isn't very good that you guys are like a married couple with a business. And I'm like, he was like one of you should go get a corporate job. I looked at him and I got so pissed. I was like, I'm like, how dare you say that? Yeah. And I was like,
that is so, they think they're like God's gift to mankind. I mean, there's like a parody account, the name of which escapes me right now, but it's like things VCs say or something like that. And it's poking fun of the fact that like so many of them act like they're just like the oracle and the best thing that's ever happened. It's just ridiculous that they would come in and tell you what to do with your own marriage and like professional path. That's just nuts to me. Wow.
Oh, I might have nutted out on him a little bit.
I'm glad you did, because he had it coming. That's what I'll say. He definitely
had it coming. And I think after that he realized, oh shit, this is a couple that like they're just not gonna stop. Like they're not gonna they're gonna go like, they're not gonna be like, oh, okay, you can push me around and oh, this is kind of scary. Because I was like, no, I'm like, this isn't the first time I've had a man tell me like I'm wrong when I know I'm not wrong, but you want to tell me I'm wrong because you're in that power position. I'm like, sit down, sir, because I'm like, I'm like, this is not how this is going to be played out.
I love it.
And sometimes you have to be a bitch to be respected,
You do. I mean, it's like we've tried to like contort ourselves in such a way in corporate that will be accepted. And it's funny to me too that even when you march in there with your husband, right, which you would think would like soften things out, given the whole stigma against giving women money and them not understanding our business needs, right? You'd think it'd be a little bit better with your husband next to you, but it sounds like it still was an issue. I mean, it's just wild.
Oh yeah. Well, and I mean, he was like, he was a partner too. So I didn't know he was a partner. And Chris was like, do you know that you just like you? And I'm like, not my problem, not my fucking problem. I'm like, because if that's how you are, I'm like, I don't want to work with you.
No, hell no.
I mean, that's not the type of like mentality. You think that, oh, absolutely, that I'm a woman, I need to go get a corporate job because we can't work together as business partners. I'm like, Lee, I can't do this.
We're done here. 100%. And you teach people how they can treat you. And if you just like caking it,
exactly,
what would that have said? And how would that have set up your professional relationship? Would have sucked. So I'm glad you put him in his place. That makes me happy.
Oh, that's another thing we can talk about someday. Like sexism in corporate world.
Oh God, we need that should be like literally an entire podcast, like a series. So yeah, but we should definitely. There's so many things. Crystal, I feel like I could talk to you for literally hours on end, and this has felt like, I don't know, sitting down at a bar with a drink and chilling with a friend, which has been amazing. So I'm so glad that you came on the show, and like, it's so cool to see someone who has reinvented herself so many different times, like whether purposefully or accidentally, and like come out to have the level of success that you have, and also recognize a really important addressable market that was not being addressed in the creator economy, and building that specifically based on what you yourself experience. Like, I just love the whole arc of your story and sticking it to the man. And I'm a big fan of yours. So thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing what you have about your path.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. And yeah, we have so much to talk about like in the future.
So much.
I can't
so
wait.
Much.